So when you're enjoying what you're doing, you're anyways positive. So even when there is a low phase, if you carry on with that positivity and optimism, that low phase is not hitting you as hard as it normally would. So it is tough sometimes, I agree. But then the next best thing I remember my dad always said was, time is anyways going. It completely is your choice whether to spend it happy or spend it crying. When that decision comes to you, you obviously want to decide the best for yourself.
Hello and welcome to the Dreamcatcher Show, brought to you by Vatan Se. Wait a minute. But what am I doing here? Where is the host? Well, surprise, surprise. Today, we have not one, but two guests on the show. She dons many hats and she wears them with great aplomb and panache. She's a CEO, she's a model, she's an actress, she's a story writer, she's a host, and the list can go on. Her resume is not just extensive, but it's equally impressive. Many of feathers in her cap, many awards her way, and many recognitions. She is on a roll. She's unstoppable and she's just getting started. And with her today is her most ardent fan, her partner in crime, her wind beneath the wings. He is an IT professional, an exceptionally talented singer, actor, producer, director, a cricket enthusiast, and his list goes on too. Himanshu and Shalima Motial. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What a great introduction. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and
My
honored.
mother will be very proud.
I'm sure she must be already really very proud.
Thank you so much. No, it feels great. It feels great to be on the other side.
So Shalima, you have a very diverse portfolio. Fashion designing, cabin crew, a PR person, an entrepreneur. You've done a lot over the last 20 years. How easy was it for you to switch between different careers, for you to learn, to relearn, and perhaps a lot of times to start from the very beginning?
Very good question. It was actually very exciting. So it gave me a new environment each time and a lot of new learnings in every career that I chose. And the best part is that I didn't start out thinking that I would be a PR professional or join airlines for that matter or do fashion designing. I just went with the flow. So whatever came my way, I said, why not? And I think till date for most of my projects, my mantra is, why not? No harm trying. Whatever I entered into, I also entered into it with my heart and soul. So it was fun doing it. I enjoyed every bit of every different project or career path that I chose. Loved it to bits.
And sometimes you would have probably started from the beginning. Did you ever have self-doubt?
So self-doubt is something that I never had in any of the fields. Tough times and, ups and downs, definitely, and most of them. But then again, with that thing behind that, okay, let's just carry on. What I have in my hand is hard work. And
Absolutely.
With that in hand, I just went ahead and gave it my best shot. There were so many times, for instance, I'll tell you, when we launched Runway Talent Hunt, it was the first time we were doing something like that in Singapore, wherein we provided a platform for artists across platforms and across age groups. So usually there's either a dance performance or a singing performance, either for children or for adults. We did it across platforms. So, be it an actor, stand-up comic, or even a visual artist, we provided a platform for them. And we had several sponsors aboard, and I promised them that we will have at least 100 number of people participating. With ZTV on board as my co-producer, we had only 30 participants and we were nearing the deadline.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
Oh, wow.
So then I was like, okay, what can I do? So I was like, I can only work hard and harder. So from
Excellent.
8 to 10 to 12 hours I was working in a day. And obviously when you work hard and you put your heart and soul and you don't want to let the people down who you're responsible for, it has to show in the results, right? So, and then we extended the deadline by a week. We had 170 registrations
Oh,
that time.
wow. That was incredible.
My sponsors were thrilled. They said, you always over-deliver. I promised them 100 and we had 170. So what I learned from that experience was that instead of panicking, what is in my control is working hard and harder. And that's what I can do. And I saw the results.
That's incredible. Himanshu, you did engineering, IT professional. You also wanted to become a professional singer at one time and dabbled at TV. You also did various things. Today, if you have to talk to your 20-year-old Himanshu, as to, when a 20-year-old is confused as to what to make in life and what choices do I take, what advice would you give?
A lot of advice. So first of all, I would say that some part of that 20-year-old still lives inside me. Because I think it's important for all of us to keep the child awake and alive inside us, because then that brings a lot of hope and energy and enthusiasm to do things. But the 20-year-old Himanshu was kind of a bit scattered and confused. And I had my energy spread out in many different directions, wondering what to do. So I would definitely say, point your energy in a few directions, right? Like a fat man stepping on your shoe, like if a fat man steps on your foot, will hurt, but a thin lady with a thin pencil-heeled shoe stepping on you will hurt more.
Absolutely.
So therefore, lesser effort but pointed would help. So that's the first advice I would give. And the second big advice I would give is just don't worry. The universe has your back. Everything works out. So because I did go through some tough period, towards the end of my college, and I was a little directionless, etc. But great things happened, and I think the greatest thing that happened was marrying Shalima.
Oh yeah, that was the best thing that happened in my life as well.
That's so sweet. I've known both of you. You are extremely positive as an individual. How do you bring that to your work every day? How do you maintain your positivity and wake up every morning and work with the same passion on your 100th day that you did on the first day?
I love the questions you're coming up with. So what happens is when you really like a trait, you do it every day, right? There are some days when you're saying that you can't, but if you do it enough, it kind of becomes a habit. Then it comes naturally, then it's not put on, right? So that positivity aspect I've grown up with. My dad always taught us to look at the glass half full. There was never a point where we could say, oh, this is half empty. So that was also ingrained right from childhood. And that habit, thank God, came into my workplace as well. So when you're enjoying what you're doing, you're anyways positive. So even when there is a low phase, if you carry on with that positivity and optimism, that low phase is not hitting you as hard as it normally would. So it is tough sometimes, I agree. There are mood swings that happen when things don't go the way you want them to go. But then the next best thing I remember my dad always said was, time is anyways going. It completely is your choice whether to spend it happy or spend it crying. Time will go on the way it has to at its own speed. So you decide. When that decision comes to you, you obviously want to decide the best for yourself.
Excellent. And Himanshu, I've also always seen you as a very encouraging individual, not just with Shalima, but even around people around you. You probably sometimes think, okay, I'm not sure whether this idea is going to take off, but you don't want to hurt the other person. How do you manage that? Because Shalima is bubbling with ideas and she's, as I said, she's always on a roll.
Actually, I heard two questions in there. First is, so I'll tell you, one of the philosophies we live by, and I think that's why we both resonated, is to be joyful, and not just be joyful, but also be a source of joy to everyone around you. Okay. So I think that kind of explains where we get the enthusiasm or the interest to sort of encourage everyone around us. So when it comes to Shalima, from the time Shalima came up with the idea of Dreamcatchers, which was 13 years ago, 2011? 2011, and I was traveling in New Zealand. It was like 12 midnight or something. I was about to sleep, and she called me with a lot of enthusiasm, like, hey, I've come up with an incredible idea. The universe is speaking to me. There's going to be Dreamcatchers. And she started describing it. And I was like completely sold to the idea right away. So I would say it's easy to encourage an idea when it resonates with you. I was Some part of me wanted to be a musician, a weekend musician, if nothing else. And I thought, hey, there will be so many other weekend actors, weekend musicians who would love a platform to be able to showcase their talent. So it really resonated. It's so easy to support a great idea. Now, in the execution of that, of course, there were times when she saw it different and I saw it different. And I realized my place was to support. So, and I admit, there were times in the beginning when I was overtaking, in terms of, hey man, this is the way to do it. But as soon as I realized my place it was really her show to run and I was here to support it, I think it worked out well.
No, that's excellent, because many times when a husband and wife work together, there could be a lot of clashes because egos come in play. So it's very nicely put that, you realized and you moved back and allow her to take the driver's seat when she needed to.
Actually, I do want to add, so we did have our shares of friction, whether it is Dreamcatchers or otherwise. I mean, until the moment I realized that, actually, this is really, she's in the driving spot. And until I realized, actually, she did have the better ideas on how to execute things. But one of the philosophies that's kept us, and I think if we may share for the viewers, that's kept our marriage very strong, is right when we got married, someone had gifted us a book. I think my mom had gifted a small booklet, and there were some very nice principles in that. The first of them was never sleep with the fight unresolved. And the second was never shout at each other unless
the house is on fire.
Unless the house is on fire. And then somewhere else we learned there are these 4 C's that can kill a marriage or any relationship, which is don't compare, don't criticize, don't compete, and don't complain. Right?
Yeah.
So we really try to live by that. So in those moments when we were having those misalignments till we got to alignment, these principles really helped us. I think however uncomfortable it was, we would sort of talk it over.
Right.
And and the secret was in the rare moments when we would be angry enough not to talk, we had this, who's going to break the silence? So we'd have this thing of going to the other, like mostly I would go to her, but instead of saying, I'm sorry, I would say, I forgive you.
And that would irritate me so much.
But that's the humor.
I'm not even saying sorry. What are you forgiving me for?
But that's a tip some people can take away from this program.
Absolutely. But that was also like 10 years earlier on. Now we've come to a place in synergy where even without saying sorry, we know that, okay, this was out of place and we shouldn't have said that. And it just easily flows now. So.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. So Himanshu, you have a job, a full-time job. You have a traveling job. And as you mentioned, it's the weekends that you're free for filmmaking, movie making. And it's not easy because even this is demanding. So how do you mentally switch between travel, job, and movie making?
I think in general, I think if what you do you enjoy, whether that's corporate or whether that's doing a weekend film shoot, if you enjoy it, doesn't feel like work, right? Yes, you need some physical energy to do it, but the mental energy, the enthusiasm that comes with it. So I think it's important, whatever we all do, we should just do the things we feel passionate about. Because if you're passionate about it, time will fly and it will not feel like work. So I think that's what kind of keeps me going through the corporate world while I'm traveling. Travel also gives me a time to get new perspectives. And if it's, for example, when we were shooting Dominoes, of which I was a co-director, traveling also gave me some time to think about different, how would we shoot this, how would we shoot that, or observe some people, etc. So I think it gives you a nice perspective and it kind of blends in together.
Excellent. It's definitely challenging and tough to do. So give us some of the behind the scenes challenges that you have experienced while shooting, movie, directing, and what has it taught you?
In terms of challenges of the husband and wife working together, so we were playing different roles. I was the producer, right? So I was managing a lot of different aspects of filmmaking. And I was also the actor on board. So I had a couple of hats that I was wearing. And he was co-directing it. So when you're directing, you have to put on your creative hat a lot. And as a producer, you're watching time, you're looking at the entire crew, they have to leave, they have a working day next day. So in terms of those kind of differences, I would get slightly worked up that, we need to finish this on schedule. Whereas for him, it was like, no, retake. So those were small little clashes, which I believe could happen with anyone. And us being husband and wife, that made it slightly difficult during the shoot. Like, okay, can we stick to the time? He's like, wait, no, I want the best shot coming out and stuff. But it was also fun because you learn that way as well. And he is a perfectionist. So for me, getting the job done on time is way more important than pushing it to next day, but doing a fab job. So there are small differences in, the way we work. The style is different. But I guess in the end, when the product comes out and you see somebody's perfectionism in there, you're like, okay, that's fine. So we meet somewhere in the middle, I guess.
So that's your lesson learned.
Yes.
Give him the time.
Give him the time. But then he's also learned in the process that it is important to finish things on time.
It's a good question you asked. And I think it applies to any two partners. Whether in a relationship or a business relationship. I think, I'm just taking us as an example. While we complement each other in many ways, and we are very aligned in most of what we do, there are certain habits which are very misaligned. So she is super planned. She will see the whole end goal like 60 days ahead, and she'll plan out everything, and she would have finished all the execution by 40th day, right? Or something like that, right? Her bags will be packed like a week before we travel, as an example. And I will be coming awake on the 60th day. On the day, great ideas will finally be falling into my head. Oh yeah, that's how we can do this. That's how this will happen. So that is definitely a cause of friction. And during the process of the filmmaking, it did create moments when, hey, but I'm not, as the producer, I haven't planned for time or people or things, or the props the way you wanted them, and which are now bursting into my creative zone finally. But what I think we learned in the process is the answer is always half, right? So there were certain areas where she was absolutely right, and I sort of needed to respect that. Certain areas where I think I was right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think she learned to respect. So eventually, beyond that friction, came a nicer, newer level of understanding, and I think the whole project brought us a lot closer. So, or every such project brings us a lot closer.
Also, I think what keeps us together and bonded well is similar interests.
Absolutely.
So I've heard of many couples wherein one person loves the theater, the other one just wouldn't go with her. And sometimes I want to tell the other person that, why don't you give in a little? Go for the theater, not for your sake, for your wife's sake or for your husband's sake. And vice versa, the other person can do something they don't like, but for the partner's sake. And that's how you keep that excitement and love and bonding alive in the marriage. Because otherwise you just end up living like two individuals under the same roof if you're not bending a little for the other person, right?
Absolutely. And it's amazing that you both have the same interests, both have very similar interests, with behind the scenes. It helps in a lot of ways. So during the course of the interviews that you've done, and as you've been a host, you've had many guests, diverse guests, interesting learning. What trait that you have learned, positive or negative, from the guests that you have interviewed?
Interesting question. Okay. So yes, we've definitely interviewed a lot of inspiring people from diverse backgrounds, both men and women. What I've learned is, and also I'm speaking from my own experience as an entrepreneur, what I've learned is every entrepreneur has that resilience for their passion, whatever it is, be it even if they're in a corporate job or they've started a new business to do with jewelry or restaurant or whatever it is, that resilience to just carry on no matter what the ups and downs are, that is super important. And I've noticed that as a standard in all entrepreneurs. So that's one big positive. And second, which I've lived by also, is hard work. There is no substitute to hard work. So even when I launched the Dreamcatcher Show, I was like, okay, this is going to be slightly easier than my other projects. But the minute I started working towards it, nothing comes easy. There's so much work that goes behind everything you do. And especially if you want to do it well. So, as an entrepreneur, even as a corporate professional or any field that you're working in, hard work you need to put in unless you want to live a chilled out life. Then don't work. Then sit at home, which is fine too. To each his own. Negative, I'm never actually looking out for negatives. So negative, didn't notice any.
Excellent. What about you, Himanshu?
So I had an opportunity to be a part of the DC show as a part of the production crew. And so I was very inspired by all the stories we've done so far. And some of the people we'd known before in Singapore, but they had so many facets. But one thing was common. They followed passion. They had a passion and a conviction, and they followed it. They didn't just, I'm sure there are many of us who have a desire to do something. And we sort of keep giving this as an excuse or an explanation that I have a job I must do, I must bring in money, etc. There were architects who left their safe, secure job and opened a restaurant because that was their passion, right? Or we had another person who was a corporate goer, but was able to create businesses while working in the corporate world and then follow his passion, right? So I think it is a great message, very positive for me that, hey, you can continue being a great corporate, in the corporate world, and at the same time follow your passion. For example, the way I support her and we do some of the filmmaking, etc., on the weekend. So that's a good way to sort of do both. You don't have to make a choice. You don't have to either be this or that. You can do both. And I think that was very inspiring for me. The only thing negative was, I was like, hey man, I want some of that. So that it kind of reminded me some things which I should have, but in a way that inspires me. So I'm just saying that in jest.
Yeah. And what is the most rewarding aspect of your work?
So my corporate world is to do with high-speed internet connectivity, and as you can see, the internet is as vital as food and water.
Absolutely.
In fact, actually, the United Nations has even declared that as one of the necessities now. And we've seen, like during the pandemic, it was a lifeline, right? Because if we didn't have internet,
that's true.
Man, our lives would have been disastrous. Like the mental health would have gone to a different level of.
Absolutely, and I think communicating with our own children.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's through the net many times.
So it's extremely rewarding for me to be able to connect lives and make a human impact, whether that's in metro cities or in villages. And then on the weekend, it's very rewarding for me to be able to sort of scratch my itch of being, should I be a musician? Okay, here is some background score. Should I be an actor? Okay, here's an opportunity to act. Can I direct? Okay, here's an opportunity to direct, all thanks to Dreamcatchers. So
we believe in catching dreams. Yes, the most rewarding part of my journey has been getting into niche areas. So trying out something new, something that the market doesn't have. And that's like literally creating a new baby. So when I launched Runway Mom, that was again a very niche segment of market that I targeted. Nobody was doing that. And in a way that was also providing a platform for women, encouraging them, empowering them. And, the USP was non-competitive.
Yeah. And you did 7 seasons.
7 seasons of it till I called it the last season because we were literally at the peak and I wanted to leave that baby right there. And then launching into theater, launching into filmmaking, 12 to 14 short films. Later, we were like, okay, Dreamcatchers, time to dream big. And then produced a full-length feature film. Dominoes, calling myself a film producer is like, it still seems like a dream.
So was that daunting? Because producing short films is obviously a stepping stone, but a feature film, even, professionals take time to produce because it's not something that is, it's a big thing. It's really a big
huge thing.
So was it daunting?
Right. So it's interesting you asked that because Himanshu always says that I jump first and then I build the parachute as I'm falling, right? And I think I did that with Dominoes as well. we had the experience of producing short films. So I said, okay, we've done a 20-minute film. How difficult will it be to do 20 into 5 or 20 into 6 and produce a full-length feature film? As I started putting the jigsaw puzzle together, it was a different ball game altogether, because we did these short films with 2 production crew, because it was, COVID times, restrictions, and we were doing it on a small scale to produce it on, to showcase it on YouTube. But now with the full-length feature film, we had bigger dreams. So we then ended up having a 90+ member crew that we had, production crew, guests, the team, all of us learnt on the job.
Yes, and they were all pretty much novice, right?
Absolutely. So we trained, including me, myself, we trained for things on the job. I didn't know how to tell the production crew what their responsibilities will be or what to expect. So we all learnt on the job, the way we brought that whole film out together. And I feel that once your heart is in the right place, the right people gravitate towards you. And I had a brilliant team. It was like God's hand in that project through and through. Everything fell in place. People offered their houses. They came with so much commitment and passion. You were a part of the project. And I can't thank God enough for everybody's love and creativity and support in the project. My biggest support being Himanshu. As I said, I want to do this. He was like, okay, let's do it. And then we went and kept buying equipment, kept adding on things. And he was like the biggest supporter I could ask for.
That's excellent. So,
thank you. Actually, can I add to what she said? So, as planned as she is about everything, when it comes to new projects, she actually does take a plunge. That's why I said, hey, for someone who's so planned, you're ready to jump off the aeroplane and then you're building the parachute. So it's kind of a oxymoron, like it's a contradiction, but that's probably what makes your personality very interesting. And the film was actually, as you correctly said, it's making a film for 2 hours, which is engaging and believable, and the audience likes. We did 2 pilot runs, and about 1,000 people watched it, and they most of them gave very very rave reviews because it really came from the heart. And I think stitching a story together for that long, keeping people's interest, etc., that is definitely a lot of hard work and a lot of creative input. I think one of your biggest strengths, Shalima's biggest strengths, and maybe a message to the entrepreneurs is you don't have to necessarily spend a lot. If you have passion and you're able to really bring together people, Shalima brought together a lot of people who had much more talent, who had directed films before, who had a lot of sense about photography and cinematography and lighting, etc. People like Sanjeev Verma and people like Rajat Mohan, right? So when she was able to bring all of these people together to create something way more magical, right? And then all of us galvanized, you and I, we all galvanized behind it, right? So I think that's been your big strength, just bringing people eventually together. Almost 100 people together to make that film, right? So a lot of people came together by passion, and that's another way to go run your enterprise.
Excellent. That's one thing which we can tell our viewers, one message. If you want to do something which you at now, you might think it's beyond reach. It seems very daunting. It seems very scary. Where do I start? Where do I begin? I've never been in this line before. It's absolutely niche, but you can. It's your passion that will drive you. And it's also how you bring in people together, step by step, organize, and you will go through it. That's an excellent advice and excellent to hear that from you. Now, what has been the best testimony that you have received from, people who watch your films, people who follow you on Insta? What has been the best testimony?
The best testimony is the number of smiles I've been able to bring to people's faces, the confidence level that has increased because of the events we do, even films, people who probably didn't have prior experience of acting suddenly blossomed because they got an opportunity. Yeah. So for anyone to get that first stepping stone is important. And I think through many ventures that we've done under Dreamcatcher's umbrella, we've provided that platform to people, be it through runway, through singing, through acting, through dancing, or even just organizing meets where we get inspiring people to talk about their journey. and that has helped them catch their dreams. So that's the biggest testament to what I've done over the last 13 years. The smiles on people's faces, their dreams caught, and they come and tell me directly, it's because of you. We are together, we've started this platform, we are doing yoga classes, we've become entrepreneurs ourselves. Otherwise, we were very shy, we were very nervous. So Dreamcatchers has brought us out and helped us do this. And I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's excellent. Now, one last question. How do you define success? And has the definition changed over time?
Success would be giving a good answer to this question. So, I think when I was younger, the 20-year-old that you talked about, success was, the conventional, must get a good job, must find a good wife. And I think
you're successful.
I think I was very, very successful by those two metrics.
Kapda aur makan.
So, but I think along the way, and our marriage has been a big part of that, the sense that, hey, this is where I'm, spirituality, right? Like just the awareness that we're not just humans, we are actually souls, and that we are endless, we are timeless, and that this life that I'm leading is just a moment, a slice of time in the soul life. So that kind of is the GPS that navigates everything. That's sort of front center for me in terms of success. That in the end, we're not going to take back anything when we, in our own time. Good news is we won't die. That's what I believe. We never die, right? And we'll actually be more alive and vibrant than we are on Earth's life, right? So we've all led multiple lives, etc. So the purpose of life is actually to learn some soul lesson. So I see this whole life as like a school for the earth, and therefore being compassionate, being enthusiastic, so those kind of virtues is my definition of success. And I think that's what kind of, when you said, how are you encouraging of people? Some of those things are powered from the sense that, hey, we are all here to help each other, and, sort of helping and growing together is what we're here for. So to me, that has now become success.
So for me, I've always followed this spiritual path right from birth, and aligning my thoughts and virtues and my day-to-day activities to that is been success. So even when I was younger, become a cabin crew, okay, do fashion designing, okay, I went with the flow. I didn't really have a proper definition of success. Until I moved to Singapore and started Dreamcatchers, then your goalposts keep shifting. Okay, when this event will be launched well, and be successful, then it's success. But that also was short-lived. So for me, end goal and success is happiness. If you're sleeping well at night, if you're at peace with yourself, and most importantly, if every decision is out of love and not fear, that is success. Yes. So if today I'm interviewing people because I love to do that, it's part of my passion, and I'm doing it from a place of love and not fear that, oh, this project has to be successful, oh, I have to do it, it's success for me already. So any project that I get into, or anything in personal life also, be it making friends, socializing, partying, whatever it is that I do from a place of love, and that end goal is happiness. That's success to me.
Where your heart is.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Now we shall play a fun game, some rapid fire.
Sounds good.
It wasn't fun until now.
Oh, no, it was fun, but it was serious. It was learning. Now is just getting to know you. Shalima.
Yeah.
Performance on theatre, on stage, or front of the camera?
Camera. Any day.
Really?
Yeah. Front of the camera, yes.
Front of the camera, yeah. Himanshu, acting, directing, or singing?
All three.
Oh, that's nice.
We have to pick one, right?
Yeah, pick one.
Acting.
Acting? Really? Not your first love, singing?
No. I think acting is... I love to be in front of the camera too.
Oh, excellent. Okay, then night out partying or chilling at home, Netflix?
Chilling at home, Netflix, anytime.
I'm a party person. I love party.
But not night out.
Not night out, but going out with my girlfriends,
dancing,
having fun, dancing. I love dancing.
Yeah.
For me, socializing is very
So this is
important.
an example of opposites attract, right?
True.
Totally.
So what is the one thing that Shalima has and you wish you could have?
Oh,
so many, right? Why just one?
Just one thing.
Many things. Oh, well, I just think her whole persona, like it's, she is like a dynamo, like a source of energy and joy in the house. Like a lot of people have come in her absence if she was traveling, say, overseas. And not a lot, but a few people have come and said, oh, the energy of the house is looking a little lower. And then I sort of like try to pump it up. But yeah, I mean, she's just a source of energy. And if I could have that, I'd be Superman.
Oh, excellent. And what about you, Shalima?
I wish I had the saintliness he has. He is the most calm, loving, unconditional person I've ever known.
So you're the storm and he's the calm in the storm.
That's right. Yeah, that's so beautifully put.
And who's your celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush,
It's easy.
Shah Rukh Khan.
I know. I was just going to say.
Sorry.
For me, it was Shalima.
She was thinking, but when it was coming to you, I was going to say besides Shalima, who is your celebrity?
I was going to say
No,
Shalima.
I actually had a
But now that
crush
she's
on. No, I had a crush on him when I was 17.
Who spends more?
I think him. He would. Yeah.
Yeah, she
On her.
handles the finance of the business, right? A lot of times.
No, she's actually she's very, very money wise. So I would whatever we have built. I mean, a big part of the thank you is Shalima. I was in the beginning of my marriage. I was very directionless, and I would spend way more. When we walked into the marriage, I walked in with a debt. I mean, small debt, owed to the credit cards, and she walked in with some savings, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you who's where. But I think we've now equalized, right?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay, the last question to both of you. What is a dream that you still want to catch and you haven't?
Produce more movies and act in them. I want to do it till my last breath.
Oh, wow. Excellent. That's really nice.
I want to be recognized on the streets as, hey, you're that guy who acted in there. Can I get an autograph?
Of course, when we do films, I also want to be recognized for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in anonymity.
No, I'm sure Singapore, you're already there.
But nobody's asked an autograph. So
Not an
that
autograph, but let me share this. The other day we were in Parkway Parade and this random gentleman's coming towards us smiling. So we also smiled back and we thought, oh, maybe because he's Indian, he's smiling. He goes, I came to watch your theatre. You had played in Devdas. We were like,
wow.
oh, okay. So that was like, okay, fame.
There goes another testimony. That's amazing to be recognized.
But he didn't ask for my autograph.
Nobody asks for autograph these days. Yeah.
Excellent. So, okay. Quick questions, just a few. And you just point out to whoever. Who's more short-tempered? That was fast.
Okay.
And who's more romantic?
Oh, that's nice.
Who's more organized? That we know. Who goofs more? Who's a more goofy character?
Really?
Okay.
Who hates driving?
When we are overseas,
Overseas, definitely not.
I love driving.
He loves driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works out fine. I get to drive.
And who does the planning overseas?
He does.
And
And for the rest of the time, she does the planning.
who takes longer to get ready? Really?
Yeah. That's because she uses 90% of the time.
No.
And then I get...
No. Every party, I am ready like 15 minutes ahead of time and waiting, making TikToks.
Okay, fine. I got it. Because I'm the last minute guy.
So, who's the most serious person at home?
Neither of us. No.
None of us.
And who's more strict with the kids?
She is, yeah.
But who's the go-to person the kids go to?
Yeah.
I would say me.
I think it depends.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. So they're also very smart. They know who to
Yeah,
go
which
to
button
for
to
what.
press where.
Yeah. That was excellent. So, working together as a couple, you can complement each other, you can learn from each other, and you can grow together. You can have fun too. So, if you think this episode you've had fun, you have learned, and if you find it inspirational, please leave a comment below. I am Hasika Jagannath on behalf of Dreamcatchers, and here we have the power couple, Shalima and Himanshu Motial. Thank you so much, and thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're very good.
Super.
So in the beginning, you started at the first line. I was like, "Itna serious kyun?" But then you had a nice googly.
Amazing switch and turn and all. Huh?
You're such a natural. Yeah, Asika, come on.
Such great question.
You go through a little bit of friction. I think you're kind of polished as a diamond when you come out shining.
Excellent. So then we'll wait for the next movie to start.
Yes.
I think I'm polished.
No. We'll carry on doing this.